Hey guys, how you doing? How you doing, guys? Okay, let's go into our tactics. Not tactics, our landed system. Okay, let's do it. So d4, knight f6, knight f3, g6, bishop f4, bishop g7, e3, d6, e2, castles, c5, c3, and then queen to b6, which is an okay move, but this is actually the line that they talked about here that is a potential better one. h3, and if hold on, I gotta pull this over just a little bit so I can get some more. Instead of b6, if e, you can takes, and now you're gonna be up a whole pawn. It's because you can't really take here, because if you take, you can take. So watch, you take here, you take there, you take there, and then you win a whole time. You're up a whole pawn at that in that line. So you can't. Let's see. Did it say you can take? Yeah, taking. Gotcha. So that's one line. Dubious. Knight bd2, and then there. Okay. There's also a line that if queen takes, which can't be played. If he does, the queen ends up becoming trapped. There, rook c1, queen b, c, and then you round up the queen. There's also another line. If not that, but b5, knight to d6 picks up an exchange because you're attacked here and you're attacking there, so you pick an exchange up. Okay. So there's a continuation of the line. Queen takes, double question mark. Yeah, that was a blunder, big time blunder. I'm not sure what Black had in mind. Maybe he thought I would be forced to draw in repetition. This is the game of the author. The subline that he's talking about. He's looking at the main game is a game between two strong grandmasters, and this line, subline, is the line that he played in his game. And he thought that somehow there would be a grandmaster kind of repetition, back and forth. But he didn't let that come to fruition. He says, you know what? You come into my camp, says the spider to the fly. So that's what the knight says. Queen, you come into my camp trying to take one of my pawns. That is uncalled for. And so the knight goes to c4 and says, what are you going to do now? And the queen's like, hey, I'm just going to take a pawn. Oh, so you're trying to stop me. I have two pawns now. The knight's like, Rook, come on over here. The party's nice. Let's get in and get the job done. And so the rook comes over to c1 and attacks the queen. The queen's like, no, what's going on? And and it's like, uh-oh. Let's see, what do we got here? C takes D. C takes D. E takes D, because there's really no reason to rush to take the queen at this moment. The queen's going to be trapped. Queen b4. Rook to b1. Queen c3. Rook b3. And the queen has run out of space. It's all over now. The queen is surrounded, choked out, and she has to surrender herself to the enemy side. We get to take the queen captive and say, King, you're down a general. Now it's our time to come and defeat you. Okay. Now we're back to the main game. Knight bd2. This is a good trick. Now again, in the reverse ready, you may be able to ignore an attack on the b pawn if the tactics allow it. So sometimes you're able to ignore the b pawn if you can trap the queen. Like if the queen comes in, you just come in and then you got her. She's trapped. So you gotta always keep that in mind. Like the main line is actually this line here, but there is another line that's playable. This is a mistake here, a really bad mistake, because this allows for knight c3 or c4, b5, b5, knight takes d. Remember that one line we talked about? Queen a5. So queen a5, knight takes c8, and then rook takes c8, and queen b3. And now if we can get this pawn, it's a fork of two rooks. And this gives white a clear advantage with his bishop pair, strong central queen, side pressure. And so we have a strong center, strong queen side pressure, and we have the two bishop advantage. So we're pretty much kicking it up a notch. There's also now, if instead of b5 for the queen, there is a potential really a blunder, not just a bad move, but a blunder. Queen takes c2, c3, rook c1, queen b3 or b4, rook b2, queen c3, and then rook to b3. The queen is trapped, and remember what we talked about up here? The same idea came to fruition. The queen's trapped. Excuse me. So this is actually what was played in the game. d7, h6, and this is a dubious move. They're saying potentially a better move would be this. The author says black should force an ending with bishop to e6, c takes d. This gets a good exclam move because it's an in-between move. It's like, wait, shouldn't you take the queen? No, not yet. And then takes, pawn takes, and a3. Even so, I always prefer white in such endgames. That's what he says. The black pawns on the queen's side may become vulnerable to an attack, and white has the useful b5 square right here for the knight, b5, and c4 for his pieces. So those are the two spots that potentially could come to pass, like a knight coming in there, our bishop here, something like that, occupying these 2 points. So he plays a dubious move. This move here gets an exclam. Because it takes advantage. Then the queen takes here, which black the GM sacrifice a pawn to promote against his lower players. Sometimes GMs will actually excuse me, give up a pawn in light of sacrificing, making positional stuff better in their game. And that's kind of what he did. He probably should have rejected. There's a dry way of handling this, which means there's a kind of standard way of handling this. Excuse me. C takes D. This is one way. E5, bishop E5, exclam, bishop E6, because this is an interesting thing. Queen B, pawn takes. Oops, my bad. There we go. Now takes. There we go. And then knight G, and then A3, which gives white a tiny structural advantage. So with very few losing chances. This right here allows for, see how fractured black's pawns are? Not too badly, but they're not in unison like that. And that's a very slight advantage for white. One second. Just need to get a drink of water, and then we'll get right back into it. Okay, let's see. Where are we at now? Okay, good. There. Okay, let's go back to where the dubious move was played. Here we go. Thanks. So now our pawn structure's better. So, because we have, yes, we do have kind of this weird pawn here, but we're actually up. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're up a whole pawn, so that's good news for us. And right here, for the pawn, black had for the pawn, black has the two bishops pair, and he hopes for some queenside pressure because where his rook is here, he's hoping for queenside pressure. This is what he says. It's kind of like a Banco's gambit, not a very good one though. The reality is white stands very solid. That's what he's saying, and it's hard to believe black has full compensation for the pawn, even though he has this and it looks like a Banco gambit. It's still black still doesn't have full compensation for the loss of the pawn. It's going to be a little bit to get this pawn back if it can come back and be taken. So rook A. Now we're bringing the knight in. And F5. Here, seizing some light, this is what it says. F5 is an exclam. We're seizing the light squares of the position. We're making him have to play G5. Then F3, which we're okay with exchanging off the bishops because it's somewhat of a close game. And if we can get one of the pair of the bishops off the board, we stand slightly better. D5. Rook F1, Rook EF1, Rook EF8, and then B4, which is an interesting move. This is what the author says. Excuse me, I'm sorry. For some reason I have allergies. Ugh, allergies are just pain. But let me see. Did I? Oh, sorry. Right here. Sorry, right here. Uh, this is an aggressive defense. White doesn't mind weakening a bit to stick space to get space on the queen side. This move weakens this a little bit, but we don't mind that because remember we can get some space on the queen side, and if we can kind of stop this rook from being able to take our e3 pawn and attack the queen at the same time, it's a good deal. Art of the deal, yeah. d6, knight bd3, knight d7, bishop e, and rook ec8. And here it ended up a draw. Both players agreed to the draw. Black is a higher grandmaster, a really high strength grandmaster, and white is a grandmaster. I think he's a grandmaster, but these players are both strong, and it was in the National Open Las Vegas 2008. So white decided to take a draw because he didn't want to lose, kind of thing. And this is kind of what he said right here was, you don't always have to. Let me see, where are we at here? Where are we? What did I? Oh, right here it is. Black has yet to prove for full compensation for the pawns. So the guy's name, I can't pronounce his name. He probably should have bailed out of the dubious position by he bailed out and got a draw because of how highly rated Black was, and he offered his opponent a draw, or his opponent offered him a draw, and they took it. Now this is the summary of the whole entire game. You don't always have to respond to be back here. When he plays something like that, you don't always have to respond queen to b3 automatically in the line where Black plays queen to b6. You don't have to do that sometimes. Remember the trick with b to d2, which entices white to grab the b pawn, often with disastrous consequences. And of course, we got to see what type of disastrous consequences he was talking about. The queen ended up getting trapped. So, like here, and then rather than that, this is the disastrous consequences that he talked about. That's one of them. And then even worse disaster is if he grabs the pawn, because we win his queen. So we'll do one game and then we'll start into our tactics. Come on. We get our puzzles brought up, and then let's just customize a game. thought about taking here, but I didn't want to reconnect his pawns like that. I'm kind of happy in my position, trying to keep pieces on the board. Thinking about playing potentially queen to b4 is an interesting idea. Take a scope on this pawn and the bishop at the same time. I think that's probably what I'll play next. I like that move. Forced. Yeah, he's gonna play knight takes. Do I want to take with the pawn attacking the bishop, then go c5 and take scope on the queen side? Do I want to do that? Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm gonna just take with the pawn. I want to keep my bishop on the board. That's kind of what I was thinking. Fox is actually c5 after he moves his bishop. C5. Let's see, knight takes c5, rotate c5. Oh, we'd be down a whole queen at that point. I'm thinking about pushing the pawn up the board too. I don't want to trade pieces off when you're down a pawn. You really don't want to do that unless you have an advantage. I'm going to push the pawn up the board. Okay, okie Sometimes getting a pawn at what cost? Just make another spot for my king to go to. And now I'm gonna come over here and see if I can't get some of that. think I'm lost here, but I'm going to try my best to hold. I should have moved over here. Drat. No, he's got a queen with check. Yeah. Let's see where I made a. Let me see where did I. This ending right here. Let me see something here. It's right here. I think I. Should have taken, okay. Take the queen off the board, then take. Okay, then play there. Okay, and then I have enough, okay, I have enough potential for an attack there and there, so if he plays there. Okay, yeah. Yeah, let's just checking one thing out. If rook slides over, then you have that. Even if he takes here, you can grab that, and it's actually slightly better for me. Okay. Well, okay, let's see here. Okay, study 6. Should be 2. 6. I take c6. B takes c6. d3. Castles. Knight d2. Oh, sorry about my mic. Sorry about that. I had my mic up. That was bad. I thought I had my mic down. I had to remember to feel for that. Okay. Let's see here. Knight d3. Bishop takes. Knight takes. Wow, they're kind of doing awkward moves for sure. For sure. Rook C and Queen B2. Oops, I gotta turn off the engine. We don't need the engine. Bishop E6. A5. C5. Rook B1. C3. H4. D5. H5. Okay, so the rook slides over. We're doing good now. Rook C1. Rook takes. Oh, nice check. Check. See how they're white's actually pushing the, because it got rid of the pawn now. Yes, it's down in exchange, but wow. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. takes. Surprisingly, this is a one game for white. Do you have any questions on kind of anything on here? That's pretty impressive how you can be down exchange, but if you calculate far enough out, you win. Interesting. Capablanca. Come on, work with me. Okay, so far just a standard opening, the Slav. So no. Okay, now this kind of is interesting. It reminds me a lot of the Stonewall in somewhat, and in some of the play it reminds me of a Stonewall, but the only difference is the dark squared bishop's off the board. Usually the dark squared bishop would be right here on e6, and then white would push c5 and then retreat the bishop back to c7. That's the only difference. So castles. Let me see. Okay, so Kappa's getting ready to at the right moment takes, and then potentially bring in here our win this pawn. So he's kind of re-hooking up. Now he's going to probably develop a rook. Yeah, he's getting ready for queenside expansion. Knight c6, knight e5. Alright, f4. Now we're going for more positional play. Bishop d7, knight df3, rook f8, df8, and b4. Now he gets everything ready and then he expands. I have to keep that in mind in my play. Rook fc1, queen f2, knight takes e5, knight takes e5. So we have an outposted knight now, and he wants to trade off for a knight. So we're like, I don't think so. Knights in a closed endgame are really good, so. But if, in theory, you could actually trade off by playing like that, and he's stuck with a bad bishop, but is there any ways to break through? Are there any ways to break through, really? So I think Kappa played the correct move line, because he wants to leave the ability for the light square bishop for black is horrible. So maybe by leaving it there with the knight takes and takes, it may free up this pawn right here for black to be pushed, but not much. On move 14. Move 14. If black went, oh, knight e. Oh, right here. Well, like if rook came up and grabbed it, bishop. You just move the rook, and then you try to get us to trade off our knight. We're like, forget that. We just play c5 here, and we hold the position together. If he tries that, we just play right there. If he takes, we take back, and now we have an open file for our rook to come on with a pin, with the attack. So, but yeah, I see what you're saying. So takes. You're saying queen takes, bishop takes, f takes, and then knight e5. Good knight, bad bishop. Yeah. And the queen's gonna have to like move. And we're probably gonna have to just lock it down. You don't want to let this be taken. So you just lock it down if the queen comes in. So what did you accomplish now? You just take the knight at that point. So G, yeah, that would the queen to h4 would be a dubious move. So you'd have to try to break. That would be too nice there. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's a good thing that black didn't do that. Yeah, he would have been lost at that point. There we go, Kappa's locking it down. He doesn't want to fully lock down. This would be a mistake. He's leaving the potential for b5 at the right moment. Now the whole position is locked, and so white's the one that has the ability for opening the position, and it's white to dictate the correct time to do it. There's the time. I think he was a little concerned about, oh, I know what he was concerned about. Wham, losing a piece there. So he can't take. There we go. The position's locked now. And man, that's a pretty interesting bind. Wow. Wow. Where to go for the knight's horrible. And if the knight went here, he can't go anywhere. If the knight went here, sorry, here he can't go anywhere. There, there, there. Wow. I have not seen such a horrible position. That's a horrible position for black to be in. Ay, ay, ay. Queen b3. Now the rook's gonna come pounding right into a7, so doubling up. It's Kappa all the way. Nice. Nice. Oh, wow. Wow. That's something for sure. Nice. Do you have any questions on this? Does any do you guys have any questions on this? I'll create one more, and then we'll get on to the rest of the time with puzzles. Come on. Time to avenge my loss. Yeah, that was yeah, chess. Yeah, he's I gotta say that was a really good game. I'm glad he showed that one. That's truly the space invasion for sure. Okay, so he did the exchange variation. I have to keep so that if that happens, I'll just take with my other knight. And takes, queen takes. Okay. Trying to see, could I actually put a knight here and drop it in there? Will that do anything? I'm gonna try to see if I can't flee. Maybe castle and kingside would have been better. If I can get some space traded off, some pieces, I may be able to get my pawns going down the board. Trying to see if I can actually play it up in here. This should be interesting here. Yeah. Come on, come on, come on. Do I want to check? There's a mate here. See if I check. I think it's perpetual. What color day on that? I want to take a look here. Hold on. Oh, I'm missing my thing. Yeah. You have to kind of, guys, remember, use this as an example. You gotta hold your cool even when it looks like you're gonna lose material. Okay, take, so it was a perpetual draw. Yeah, he did the only move that would lose. Okay, we'll do two puzzles and then then I gotta log off. We'll do this puzzle and then another one. Okay, let's see here. Just remember, just keep your head about you, and you should be okie dokie when it comes to a win. Bishop takes f6. Is that what you're thinking? Yeah, I'm thinking this too. But remember, we have to see what is his counter response. Because if he takes here, we made him. So you're thinking of the windmill. You're thinking windmill. I like that. I like the windmill idea. Yeah, here. There. Check. King comes over. Takes. Check. And if he pushes, we just grab the queen. We grab the queen. So we'd be up, let's see. We'd be up a whole piece in that line. Yeah, because I believe that's potentially right, because if we tried bishop takes, we're still down material, but would we actually be up material? I think we'd be up material because we're down a whole piece here. So I think, let me see, what did we do? Okay, to set up that, I think he did do that to set up for the wheelbarrow, or not wheelbarrow, windmill. Press, is there anything else? Because he could, after we take here, bail out with king there, and we can't check and do anything, and our rook's still hanging. So I don't know. Let's see about, okay, here queen takes g7, bishop takes, because that's forced. Oops. So queen takes, bishop takes, rook takes, king h8 takes, d4, and then we grab the queen. Sorry, d4, and then we grab the queen. I'm pretty sure that that's right, yeah. Nice find there, Fox. Great job. Okay, one more. Yeah, that was a fun one. That was a fun one. Oh, you want to see us draw on the bishop? He can flee at that point. And we'll give it a thumbs up. Because I forgot to give it a thumbs up. See, if we try taking here, he can just play king up here and then run away. Oh. Snap. Wow. That's a crushing move. Tide turner for sure. Wow, one move really turns the tide. A 10 pawn disadvantage. That would be a double. Good thing we didn't do that one. That would have been a double question mark. Wow. Maybe a triple one. Close to a triple question mark, because that was a 10 pawn blunder for us. Snap, that would have been horrible. Good thing we went with the windmill idea. So bishop, say here, bishop takes. Let's take a look at this. If he took here, it'd be mate, so he can't do that. So there, queen here, bishop takes, and then you'd have to retreat. You could take here, queen takes, knight takes, and it's like we're down 2 pieces. Man, a tide turner, just that, just one incorrect move would have turned the tide of the battle for us. Wham. Wowzers. That, you want the number? I'll get you the number of the puzzle, because then you can work with the puzzle if you would like. That's the number of the puzzle, because it's a pretty fun puzzle to try ideas out on. Okay, one more. Come on, guys, we got this. One more. And we have to be careful. We have a mate. He's got a mating threat here and a mating threat there. So we got to be on our toes. So it's got 2 mating threats. Got to be right on our toes. I'm thinking about playing a check. the king moves, and then bringing the other bishop to, I'm thinking about this line here. Queen, h7, check, king, not J, king, f8, and then bishop goes to e4 to block. I'm thinking that's the idea. And we block on e4 with our bishop. But I don't know if let's see then. Queen takes. Queen takes. I think that is the move. Or am I missing something? Am I missing something, guys? What do you think, guys? What do you think, Fox? Let's see. Can there be anything else that it could be? So Queen h7 check, King f8, Bishop e4. If the Queen moves, then we play Pawn takes e5, and we win the knight. Actually, two knights are hanging at that point. Boy, 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 boy. We're gonna go with it. Now here. Okay, and we'll stop there. And there's a line here. If he moves, the queen will stay back here. You first want to take here. That if takes, you could actually check, and he loses the queen, so he can't take. He's got to put that, and you check. Come back and grab that. There you go. Okay. Well, do you guys have any questions about this before I log off? We'll give it a like. That was an interesting puzzle. I'll give it a like. Okay. I'll give you guys till 1:16, and then I gotta log. If you guys have any questions, actually I'll give you till 1. Okay. I'll wait just for a little bit more. Anything? No? Okay, then I'll say adieu. Well, guys, thank you for all logging on, spending your time. We're doing, studies, puzzles, and games. You know what? Hard part is when you lose, you have to learn from it. I don't like losing. It's not my favorite thing in the world because I want to be victorious, and we are through the Lord. So we have to remember that use your talents for the Lord, and as well, guys, remember that we can use our hands to hand to war and our fingers to fight. Keep that in mind. And we have to keep pushing forward. Also, remember what Bruce Lee said: knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. We have to also, the things that people say that can't be done, we got to be able to do. We have to go the distance. We got to do it. And the first thing to do is, after you've learned, don't forget it, but put it in your back pocket during those times that are really hard, that you have those moments like, I don't want to do it, I don't want to study anymore. Study, 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 study. Okay, keep that in mind. You know what? You can't get better unless you study. Hannibal Smith also said that a plan is if you study the position and you dictate the position, that's a plan. You're the one that's pushing the position. Even in a retreat, make sure that you're retreating and pulling your opponent in. And when it's all said and done, the game's over, learn from it, and keep pushing forward. Well, guys, I'll leave you with that. I'll check to see if anybody wrote any notes, and then if not, I will log off and say adieu. No. Okay. Well, guys, you know what? As Wesley So says, through the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless, and I'll see you guys next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening, and you know what? Keep studying chess. Don't give up. If you have a down day, pick yourself up and keep moving forward. Be blessed, guys, and Lord willing, I'll be on tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. We'll do some puzzle studies and some games, and you know what? We're going to continue to keep learning. So be cool. Bye-bye, guys. Be blessed.